And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the semi-finals, los semifinales here of Code Red Giants Cup number 14, your bi-weekly dose of Brazilian StarCraft. Oh, here we go. Now we can settle in. Now we can focus on our matches. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the yellow Terran representing the Platinum Heroes. It is INexorable. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, going for a 15, we have the red Zerg player for the CranKy Ducklings. He's one of our own. What does he stand for? He stands for endurance, righteousness, intellect, and kangaroo. The F in his name stands for fear. It is Erik. It's been too long. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since we've casted Erik. I'm happy to reintroduce him once again to the people, to the world. Here we go. Erik is a very aggressive player, very unorthodox. He does come up with his own builds more often than not, and he's going for a 15 pull into a gas geyser. Interesting. Now, with this kind of setup, Erik, you will have access to faster Lings and faster Roach Warren. That is, Roach Warren has been thrown down. Erik is going for an early on Roach Rush. Again, Erik, he is very much so in your face. Now, this is a rematch from last week. Last week, these two faced off in the semifinals, and INexorable won the series. It went all the way to the ace match, went all the way to game 3, but INexorable did come out on top, did take the 2-1. We'll see if Erik can get his revenge. I believe he can. I do favor Erik overall, but INexorable has proven that he has been able to raise his level to the point where he can bring someone like Erik down. He is no slouch. He is no one to take lightly. And Erik, he is not holding back. He is not going to be holding back here. So we are going to be getting into our game. SCV Scout does confirm, does get eyes on the Roach Warren, and Erik knows he got scattered. Now, the question becomes, how many Roaches, how many Ravagers, how all in, how committed is Erik as he's making two Roaches, and then he expands. Only 2 Roaches. He is staying in gas, and these 2 Roaches can morph into Ravagers, but again, it is a very, very light commitment into this Roach push. It is literally only 2 Roaches, soon to be 2 Ravagers. That is it. That is all that Erik has. And he's hoping to force an overreaction. We can see, oh my god, 2 bunkers. I mean, look at this. 2 bunkers on the way for INexorable. He's walling up here on the high ground as well. INexorable is reacting very hard, and it makes sense because Erik, he is one to be hyper aggressive and all in, which is why he isn't. I mentioned before that Erik, he does often play with a lot of mind games. Even here, only 1 Ravager. Only 1. Roach has arrived, does delay the CC just in time. Can he force a cancel? No shot. Boys are being pulled. SCV is being brought here to the Roach Ravager. Ravager is revealed. SCVs are going to be going down. And Erik, can he delay the CC even further? Oh my god. Very nice control. Boys are saved. CC's lifted. At the same time, Erik does lay siege upon the wall. Going for the depot. Overlord providing that high ground vision. And he wants that depot. He's going to get it. It's going to be close. The boys are being pulled. The depot will barely be saved. But again, that is how many workers that was stuck in the CC, more workers being pulled away as well, so much lost mining time, and this is all for 1 Roach and 1 Ravager. Not even 2 Ravagers, just 1 Roach, 1 Ravager. Back at home, Erik taking a 3rd base, droning up, saturating, just chilling, just expanding, just building up towards a longer game, and successfully so, I would say. I would say this has been a better result here for Erik, as INexorable back at home is getting into his 1-1-1 and will soon counterattack. This I was not expecting. Do you see what I see? It is another fusion core. Let's go. Let us go. Here we go. As we are going to be initially moving out, Cyclone catching out the Overlord. Overlord is going to fall. Erik back at home, taking a 3rd, getting to his lair, droning up. The lair should be for Roach speed, could even be for something further as well. Again, Erik, it's really hard to read him at times, even when it comes to casting, even when it comes to playing, obviously, as well. Here comes the Cyclone drop. So far, Erik, he does have enough to defend. He's got 3 Roaches and 2 Ravagers. Cyclones, they get 1 drone. 1 drone so far. And we do get a second drone. It's going to be 2. It's going to be 3. Oh, 4 even. Not bad. 4 drone kills. The medevac. Oh, medevac will get away. Just barely does get out of the natural. Ay, ay, ay. Erik does hold. And INexorable gets away. Does manage to escape. Back at home, getting into his own 3rd TC. Into his own BC. Now, what I'm concerned by is that Erik does often undermake queens. And he skips spores as well. Now, thankfully, we have 3 spores on the way, 1 for each mineral line. They're more in position to defend against Liberators. Meanwhile, Cyclones are going for another queen, and that is a brutal loss. The queen, no transfuse. Queen goes down, massive pickoff. How many queens do we have left? 4. Only 4 queens, soon to be 5. I do know that Dominoko did defend with 5 queens in the previous game against Kamikaze, but, I mean, Kamikaze did lose a lot of HP on that BC to the spore. I don't see that happening here. Now, bearing in mind this is not mech, this is BC into Bio, but I'm still concerned about that first battle cruiser, and we'll see where it goes. Erik behind this going Roach Hydra, not into Spire Tech, not into Ling Bane, a more Heart of the Swarm-esque composition. As a Cyclone Joke going back into the natural, or into the main I should say. BC teleporting towards the natural base. And how many queens? 5. 5 queens to defend. Mineral lines under fire. Roach Ravager commits. And a lot of drones are falling. Oh, there is a 1 transfuse. There's going to be another behind this. No, there is not. But the BC taking a lot of hits. Takes a lot of damage. It's going to be 8 drone kills. Erik, he does hold. He does survive. At the same time, Roach Ravager gets across the map. What is that at him to defend? Stim is not yet done. 10 more seconds. Zorba needs 5 more seconds here. Boys are being pulled. Nice kiting by Erik. Does pick up 7 SCVs. Does make up for his otherwise lost workers here across the map to the BC. 11 SCVs, 12, 14. Too many. 14, 15 SCV kills, game-ending damage, and Erik will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Erik does take it. But that was a wild game. Winding it back, a big reason why that build worked is also because of his reputation. This isn't one of those builds that you can do on the ladder and hope that your opponent overreacts the same way. The reason why INexorable did react the way that he did, throwing down those bunkers and pulling the boys and reacting very strongly to the 2 roaches, is because Erik is known for going all in and is known for being hyper aggressive. That's the thing. It's like Erik, because of that reputation, he can make use of that reputation, make use of the mind games as well. Miyamaika is very similar. Miyamaika, he's the kind of player where if he is scouted, if he is seen, Miyamaika, he will deviate. He will cancel a Spire. He will let a Spire finish and not make any mutas if he gets scouted, for example, as well. Miyamaika and Erik, they're both similar in that sense, where they're very fluid in their style and very difficult to predict. And with that, GG. GG, well played. It's one of those things where Erik and Mio, they're willing to play inefficiently to get ahead, which kind of is a weird way of putting it, but it does make sense. Like, they're willing to kind of invest quite hard in a certain way to try to force your opponent to make it worth their while in the end, make their opponent overreact, over-respond, take advantage of that. And here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the yellow Terran representing the Platinum Heroes. It is INexorable. He's down in the series, and he did force the ace match last time they played. Can he do it again? We'll see. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player, the Brazilian Zerg. For the CranKy Ducklings, he's one of our own. It is Erik. Now, every single game, more often than not, he does go for 15-15 variations. For those who do not know, Erik actually popularized the 15-15 in the meta a couple of years ago. Before Erik, players were not going for 15 hatches in ZvP or even against ZvT either. I think it was after Erik did it in 2020 or 2021, where several saw it and then several started doing it. He did give credit to Erik, and then other people then picked it up and emulated from there. I still remember when Erik was going 15-15 in 2020, and when he was playing in EPT, the casters were making fun of him. They're like, why is he doing this? This doesn't make any sense. And it was, again, like a year later where it was all the craze. So it is really cool that that Erik did kind of like, again, he's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very innovative with his play, and does often, again, because he's so exploratory, because he comes up with his own builds, he can of course kind of lead the charge when it comes to how the meta does shift over time. It's really cool to see. The other big thing that Erik popularized, that again several also took note of and then did himself at times, was specifically in this matchup Erik going for faster overlord speed. I mean, it's quite complicated, but faster overlord speed into queen drops, into spreading creep from across the map back home in this matchup as well. That is something that after seeing it, several started doing back in 2023? I think it was last year. Or maybe the year before that. 2022 or 2023, one of the two. Regardless, we're going to be settling in. INexorable is going to be going for the Rax Expand into a bunker across the map, which is very bold. It looks like... you know what this looks like? It looks like INexorable is trying to do the same to Erik. He's like, look, I'm like bunker rushing you. And it's like, but you're expanding. What's going on? So the bunker is denied. Queen pops out, zones away the Reaper. So far, Erik is holding. Reaper dives into the main, will confirm the Roach Warren. Once again, the Roach Warren is scouted, and the question becomes, because he got scouted, does Erik commit or not? 3 roaches. Yep, only 3 roaches, so this time it is going to be a slightly larger commitment. The problem, though, is that this time, INexorable, I mean, he's that much more aware. You can see already, bunkers are being thrown down. He's taking it seriously. Does he pull the boys again, though? This time the CC won't be delayed. If you remember last time, Erik did go for a much more aggressive start. He went for a much more earlier Roach Warren, which is why he was able to delay the command center. This time he won't be able to do so. So this time this initial Roach push isn't doing as much damage. It's not as successful. Because last game it wasn't just about denying the natural, it was about getting SCV kills and about forcing lost mine time as well. So yeah, Erik, he's not as successful, he backs off. He's droning. INexorable, he doesn't even lift the CC. He can just saturate from here, he can salvage the bunkers. No big loss for the Terran. So a much better start for INexorable this time. He's getting to his 1-1-1 once again. Hellion production. This time it looks like there is no add-on swap. We'll see if he does go for Banshees or BCs, or if he does commit into Stim. We have the answer. Stim. Is going to be Stim here. Yeah, there we go. Pioneering is maybe what I was looking for. But Pappy, I'm on fumes, Pappy. I don't like this. Yeah, pioneering. That's the word I was looking for. Gracias. Interesting, as it is going to be Bio, but it's going to be double Hellion into double Cyclone for INexorable. Very interesting. With this, he will have a little bit more pushing power, and he can threaten queens. He can threaten roaches. As we know, it's going to be a Marine follow-up with Stim and more Maxes. But last, Erik is not fully aware of what's going on. But Erik is a Roach boy. He does very often love to embrace Roach play in the mid-game of ZvT. Speaking of, his first 3 roaches, or 2 roaches and 1 Ravager, does meet the army, holds on to the ramp, and zones INexorable away. Now, Erik is forced to make extra roaches, and they're not really going to be too effective here. Erik just playing safe. Viking does zone away the Overlord. Link Scout is coming in. Erik trying to get a read on what's going on, and he will get eyes on the Marines. Spots Marines, but he doesn't get into the production. So Erik is still a little bit blind as to what's going on. For all he knows, it could actually still be additional factories, and it could be a BC again. Erik going for the infestation pits. This should be for safety infestors. Again, the infestor nowadays has since been improved and now has a fungal immediately once it spawns in. And they can support Roach Ravager quite nicely. So we'll see if he does head in that direction. Now just saturating his bases, droning, getting his 3rd. We'll see if he does head into safety infestors or for a faster hive. What's it going to be? Hydra gets turned down. We saw this last game, Roach Hydra, and there it is, there are the safety infestors. So this will keep Erik safe from a bio move out. What Erik is vulnerable to is Mass Marine, because Erik is lacking splash damage. There's no Banelings, of course. It's Roach Ravager. That's where fungal growths, it can be quite effective. against this mass bio composition. INexorable does move out. More roaches are on the way. Erik did spot the move out initially, and yeah, now he's fully aware. Trying to meet up with the army. Hoping to slow it down. There's the first stim! And then INexorable does stim in. Takes out a roach. Infestors have arrived. Do we get a fungal? Nice free split. A very nice free split here by INexorable. Trying to avoid that fungal. So far, trying to bait them out as well. Tanks do siege. The Marines, they are heavily stimmed though. Where are the medevacs? Medevacs, they're still on the way. Every stim does hurt. More roaches in production, more ravagers. There's the hive halfway done. Ooh, Erik has to be so careful with how he engages. Cannot push into those tank lines. How many tanks are there? It's going to be 3 tanks for INexorable. 2 of them are sieged. Erik doesn't get the cyclone. Not yet. Building on more roaches. INexorable is looking for a 4th. There is none. Erik's still on 3 bases. Still on 3 bases. Setting up a surround or even a counterattack. Oof. Within tank range though. Please add a roach. Yeah, moving out to catch reinforcements. Nice setup. Comes in from behind. Gets a tank. Gets a tank. Picks up a couple of free Marines. Very nicely done. Forces a reaction response out of INexorable. Even forcing back more reinforcements. Even getting his, oh my god, even getting some SCVs. Get a very nice pick off this entire time. Erik has been building up more roaches. A Viper is on the way. The hive was done, of course. Almost getting another tank. And INexorable's army has not moved. Has not progressed. Has a nice free split though. I mean, aesthetically, it looks good. But reinforcements are required. The Vipers have arrived. They have 1 blinding cloud each. And ideally, they want to cover the tank line. And with 2 blinding clouds, they can cover all 3 tanks. They go for the, oh, never mind. They go for the oinks. They get 1, they get 2. 2 tanks go down. There's 1 tank left. 1 tank, oh, never mind. 2 tanks remaining. Roach Ravager taking a lot of hits. Ooh, tank volley going up. Lurkers are on the way. I don't know if Lurkers are going to help too much in this defense, but okay. This army is becoming very complex. Nice fungal. Yeah, the fungals do connect. Fire taking a lot of damage, and Erik is pushing in. He's pushing out. Going for the parasitic bombs. Takes out all the tanks. Erik holds. Erik, he shuts down the main army. And behind this, he has gotten away with the Lunkers, papi. The Lunkers are here. Let's go. The Lunkers have arrived. Moving forward. Getting the expansion. Oh! Miles, oh god, they graze the medevacs. They don't quite bring them down. Slowly pushing forward. Yeah, they do force a lift. Viper's coming in for the yoink. I'm assuming on that final tank. Not quite. Pulling away. Denying the 3rd. Workers getting back within range. A nice threat from Erik. Again, what does he go for? Now there's 2 tanks. Erik, oh, has to be careful. Gets 1. Does catch 1 tank. There's 1 tank remaining. CC still under fire. Gets the final tank. Oof. It does pick it up. And without any tanks, Erik, he can push in. He can be a little bit more carefree here with his army. Getting into the mineral line. Lurkers pushing forward. Within range of the bio. INexorable does focus one of the Lurkers down, but there's the fungal. Yeah, brutal fungal growths. Boys are being pulled, and Erik is snowballing out of control. Last time, INexorable may have taken the series, but this time Erik gets his revenge. GG gets called, and Erik will take the series at 2-0. GG. GG, well played, Erik. He had a much rougher start to this game. If you remember, Erik, he committed into 3 roaches instead of 2, and he did not get any SCV kills. He did not delay the expansion. It was a much stronger start for the Terran player, but it was all about the follow-up. It was about Erik being able to keep up with the bio push, keep up with the initial Hellion Cyclone harass, into the tank push as well. Erik was able to get away with his tech, more importantly. He teched up into Infestors, into Hydras, into Hive, into that Infestation bit, of course, as well. He teched up so much, and really the MVP of that game for Erik was the Roach run-by, the Roach counterattack. Because Erik, he was, again, waiting for so many spellcasters and so much tech to eventually break out. To do so, to buy that time, with that Roach run-by, he was able to distract INexorable, pick off reinforcements, drag some of the army back home as well. And throughout the entire time, as we pointed out, INexorable, he was making no progress. He was parked outside of the base, but he wasn't really able to achieve too much there. Wasn't able to gain any ground, gain any momentum, and Erik snowballed out of control. GG. GG, well played. Erik did take it in the end. Congratulations. Erik will advance on to the grand finals, and my condolences to INexorable. Again, he is a very strong player. We saw INexorable defeat Erik last time, 2 weeks ago, but Erik took a very different approach this time. Very different approach. I'm pretty sure last time Erik was going for all-ins. He was committing into Roach aggression and Roach pushes, and he was struggling as a result, so Erik has since learned from that, and it's going to be on INexorable to adapt. It's going to be on the Terran to adapt here. And we'll see where this takes us as we are getting into the upper semifinals. Master versus Kamikaze, they are currently mid-series, and they were actually playing out their series at the same time as ours. And I don't know what game they're in, so we might be jumping into Game 2, maybe Game 3, or by the time they finish their current game, we might just have the finals. Yet to be determined. Yet to be determined.